Yo, 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 yo. Welcome to the Choppin It Up podcast featuring your boy Jordan.
What up? What up? It's your boy Eric.
And we're back at it with episode number 8, bro.
Number 8. Dang, we're almost there at 10.
Bro, I feel like it's been a long time coming, bro.
Yeah, we've been at this for a while now.
I'm loving it. I'm hoping you guys love it.
8 weeks.
Bro, it's been 8 weeks, bro. But no, so we're going to talk about today about a topic that we briefly talked about and discussed over the past couple of weeks. And really, I think this is a topic that, it will give a chance for people to really understand the issue that's going on really in the industry as a whole. And we're going to talk about the effects of fame on someone, really on a celebrity that we've probably grew up watching or idolizing, and really just the effects that it has on someone. So we're going to talk about the effects of fame, and we're going to bring out examples of actors and musicians that have the issues with fame. So, Eric, bro, I think with me, man, fame is a blessing and a curse. Fame can have really a big influence on someone, especially when they really are just like, you know what, man, I have all this fame, I have all this attention. But really, bro, that can be a serious, like, it can be so stressful.
Yeah.
And I think
For sure.
I think that when, and we'll briefly talk about the top 10 actors that we've, raised up watching. But man, fame, bro, especially now, it's like once you have that fame, it really just kind of puts you in a bad place if you don't know how to handle it.
Yeah. And I just kind of like, just put it out there. I have no idea what fame feels like.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
don't know what having a spot like that on you feels like.
Yeah.
So, I can't imagine the pressure someone must feel, always having your movements watched, always having every part of your life just kind of under the microscope. And so I can imagine it can be something that's really stressful on somebody, especially the younger people.
Oh, yeah. Man.
But one thing I do always say is that I feel like, fame and money and all that just kind of magnifies who you are. So, if you let yourself, fall into a trap of all these things that, can happen when you become famous, the drugs, the addictions, a lot of people get into a really bad place, just because of the pressures of things. So, yeah, man, I just can't imagine being under that microscope.
Yeah, and the thing is, because, like, maybe it's just me or it could be both of us, but, sometimes as a young kid, I was like, man, I want to be famous when I grow up. I want to be famous when I grow up. And then you realize, like, you know what? Fame, from what I know, just not even looking, I'm not even famous, but it's just you see actors and musicians that, of course, have the spotlight with them at 24/7. They're really dealing with not being able to go to grocery stores or go to the movies without
just do regular
have
things.
to do regular stuff. And I feel like, man, I would rather be wealthy than be than be famous. Because, like, really, bro, it's just, you have all the money in the world, but you don't have all that attention with you as well.
Yeah.
And of course, again, being an actor and being a musician, especially in a big industry like it is in the music industry and in the movie industry, it's like, of course, you're going to bring on that fame. But I think it's just like, man, you can't even live a normal life without having paparazzi on you, without having all of these TMZs and seeing, like, everybody's just going to be putting out stories about you, and people are going to be accusing you of false things. And it's just like, man, it gets to the point where if I was famous, I'm like, yo, I just want to be hidden from everything because it's stressful, man. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, I mean, and, a lot of people, I feel like they don't understand that, these are still people, and these are, they still have feelings, and they still go through struggles. But, like, I can't imagine being in a place where I can't even express those feelings because, words can be taken out of context or whatever, or, you can't even do something as simple as, like, I just want to go for a walk. Like, you gotta
lay low, bro.
Yeah, you gotta keep your, like, everything on check. Like, make sure there's no paparazzi, make sure no one's gonna come up and, like, abduct you. I mean, there's just so much, that comes with this life that, people get to or whatever. And I see it a lot with, a lot of these like Disney stars that we kind of grew up watching
Mm,
too. Like you see a bunch of them who, you know, they started really young and they
yeah,
never had that childhood. And I can't
yeah,
imagine not being able to just go outside and hanging with your friends and
yeah,
kicking the ball around or throwing the football or, playing video games at your friend's house or, just getting in the mud, like just doing regular things,
regular
you
child
you
stuff. Yeah,
did thing you did as a kid.
yeah,
And just having that kind of stripped away from you, like I can imagine that that has a lot of effects on you in your adult life, you
yeah.
know?
Well, cause it's just like as a kid, bro, that was one of our best times of our lives was being a child, bro, and having an opportunity to play with other people and play just video games and Legos and doing all
Yeah,
type
and
of
just be
fun
very
stuff.
carefree and not
Yeah,
have any like
yeah,
responsibility and
bro, you
everything.
living the best life for real, and it's just when you if I was raised in the industry to where I grew up having to be an actor or be a singer or a rapper at a young age, you don't have any chances to even really have a fun time with other kids
Yeah,
around you.
yeah, because you're on a schedule. Like
Yeah, you gotta work, bro.
you gotta do this at 10, you gotta do this
Yeah,
at 1, like you
interviews.
like
Yeah,
yeah, like your press tour, whatever,
yeah,
you gotta be on set at this time, and then oh, you still gotta do your homework though, and
yeah,
like you gotta do it. Like I just can't imagine the struggles of not having a childhood where you didn't have to worry about, well, this talent agency or whatever is taking my money or whatever, however that works, like having to worry about, I have to meet this lawyer about
bro.
something.
It's like you're a child. You're like 10 years old. You're young, and you're having to do big people stuff,
Yeah, like you
adult
have
stuff.
to you don't, yeah, you don't get a chance to be able to just have fun and
Yeah,
be carefree. And as a kid, I didn't we didn't have much growing up either, but like, what we did have, we were able to enjoy. We were able to, I had friends in the neighborhood. We would play soccer.
yeah,
We'd,
yeah, yeah,
like, I can't imagine not just being able to go over to your friend's house and just, relax and have fun. And the only thing you had to worry about was that exam the next day or
exactly.
something
Yeah,
simple as that,
yeah,
and I just, I feel bad for a lot of these people.
yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. And I'm like, man, I want to get to the point, man. If I was famous, where I'm like, you know what? I want to do what I can do. I want to do whatever I want to do without having to worry about anything. And being famous, you don't have those perks. Now, of course, being famous has a lot of perks. I mean, you banking, you making good money. You're successful at a very young age. You have a lot of attention, and it's just like you get endorsements, sponsorships, whatever. But man, one slip up, bro, will lead you to the wrong thing that you don't want to deal with.
Yeah. Um, and not to make it seem like being a child star is, or being famous or
Mm,
any of that is bad,
yeah,
because there's a lot of famous people that they have a great life. They're enjoying their life. They got to enjoy a lot of things that people like us have not been able to
yeah,
experience or anything. And so I'm not trying to make this seem like this is a doom and gloom episode about the dangers of being famous, but just kind of looking at what's going on with a lot of things right now and seeing so many people that are being put in situations or put themselves in situations that kind of just ruin their career and ruin
yeah.
their other people's lives and their own life.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and it really is sad, bro. Like it really is sad to see, especially when we talk about a few musicians and actors that grew up at a very young age doing what they love to do, and really just falling off the map completely, and just living a life of okay, yeah, they're on TV, they're on the movie screens, and then all of a sudden they do some drugs or they have an alcohol addiction, and they are never to be seen, and
Yeah.
it's sad, bro.
And I think it speaks a lot about our culture and our
Yeah,
society about, addiction and drugs
yeah.
and alcoholism and everything like that. Because, looking through, the research that we did, what we saw with a lot of people is the same things, is that they were introduced to drugs and alcohol, or some other form of the industry that we won't get political on this or anything like that, but some of these people were selling their bodies
Mm,
for money or for whatever reason, and so um, it just shows that we are in a society where addiction is so prevalent and so like
real.
it's so real. Like so many people are going through it, and addiction has no like just this type of person is going to get addicted. Like you have people from the poorest of people to the most famous and the most rich dealing with addiction.
And it's bro, and for example, like Mac Miller having his issues that nobody knew about, and all of a sudden he passes away. Stuff like that to me is very. It's almost like we have to understand that just because somebody's famous doesn't mean that they're not going through anything.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Robin Williams, like dude was one of the funniest guys ever,
Yeah,
and
he had issues, bro.
and he unfortunately ended his own life, and
Yeah,
it's so sad, you know, because we expect these people who, when we see them on TV, when we see them on the movie screen, we see someone full of joy, full of happiness,
yeah,
but and behind closed doors, they're really hurting.
they're hurting, bro,
They're really hurting, and
big time.
um, I feel like just as a society, we really need to take the stigma away of addiction, because a lot of people are scared to come out about it, or people are fear like that.
They
They
don't want to be
can't.
embarrassed.
Yeah, they can't talk about it because it's looked at like you're a criminal
Yeah,
instead of someone who has like some type of disease, which addiction is a disease.
yeah. No, it is, and that's the thing, with people that are having these issues, or like, man, I just don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want people to fire me up or call me out about it. And when really being honest and being real and being truthful about what's going on in your life that's really harmful to you and really is taking over your mind, it's really important that they let people know, because there's people out here that can help seriously
Yeah,
with
and
those issues.
in our description, I'm gonna put out a couple of numbers. Like if you're kind of going through something right now,
Yeah,
you know, we we really really strongly urge you to reach out to somebody, reach out to
yeah, that's good.
to
Yeah,
help, because um, you can't go through these things alone,
yeah,
and that I would hate for anybody to go through these type of things. If you're going through depression, or you have an addiction, like reach out to somebody, because you can't do life alone, and you can't go through this alone. Like you need support system, you need someone that's going to help, and not only that, but someone that's going to help keep you accountable
hmm,
for things, and so we'll make sure to leave that
yeah,
in our
absolutely,
description, and
absolutely.
we'll put the phone number up and everything. But I just looking at a lot of these like childhood actors that we grew up with, and seeing the path that they went through, that was so easy
Yeah, yeah,
for them to go through, for like the problems that they got themselves into. It's kind of scary.
yeah. It is. It's really scary, and it's like, wow, man. We were so young watching really people that are so young doing their dreams, and that's acting, and that's performing on stage. Then all of a sudden they come around the wrong crowd and the wrong people, and they fall off, and it's just like, bro, how could they even do that? But it's like they have issues and that nobody even knows about. And just seeing, just it's honestly, bro, just looking back at it, it's just like, man, we have to really pray for these people.
Yeah, man, we
Seriously,
do.
it comes down. This is serious stuff, bro. Like once we call out these names and bring up what these people were doing, it's serious stuff that people laugh at now,
Yeah,
and they look at it as a, like, man, he just fell off, bro. Like I don't know what
yeah,
happened
like
to him.
everybody loves
These dudes could have
to
died from this, bro,
to
and some did.
everybody loves whenever when someone's coming up, and once people love that, people love the upcoming story, but I feel like people are more excited about their downfall, seeing
Hmm.
watching them,
Yeah,
you know
and I can go all day about that, bro,
you
because
know
negativity is so, it's so sad, bro. How people just love when people kind of fall off the map, kind of, they're not, nobody's perfect, but we understand that sometimes people make mistakes and they
yeah,
fall off. But really, bro, a lot of people out here just kind of hope and pray for a downfall of anybody. Not even just actors, not even musicians, whoever.
Yeah,
People just pray for stuff like that to
because
happen.
we have the canceled culture, you know, like as
Yeah.
soon as something happens, immediate,
Hey, you cancel, son.
like
Yeah.
no questions asked, like don't even wait for the facts, we just immediately go and attack them,
Yeah.
whoever they are. um and that's sad because you know, like I said, some of these people are dealing with some stuff,
Yeah.
or you
Issues
know,
for real.
it's just fake news or fake, you know, tabloids. It's
Yeah.
just, you know, something that was taken out of context.
Yeah. And that's one of the things where this we live in a culture now where people just are like, oh man, so and so just did this, and he's just about to be, he's about to fall off the map. He's about to. It's like, yo, why are we living such a life of negativity? Like, where's the positivity when somebody makes a mistake or when they did something that's that's we might not think is a good idea, but they just happen to do it, and we're like, yo, you know what? It's okay. You made a mistake. That's fine. But now it's just a what is the word I'm trying to use? It's just a industry of where, like, yo, if you make a mistake, you're done with, you're over with,
Yeah.
and that's not cool, man. And so, really, for me, bro, and this is just in general, I'm kind of putting the fame and the whole just whatever aside. I'm like, yo, nobody's perfect, man. Nobody's perfect,
No.
and when we all make mistakes, but when we do, we don't need somebody to call us out for our mistakes. We need somebody that can help us not do our mistakes ever again.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets serious because everything now in the news is all about negative stuff. It's all about negative. All the so and so did this, so and so did that. I'm like, man, where is the so and so? He had a charity that contributed millions of dollars to this, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to see more positivity. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I just live a life of positivity. But I'm just tired of all the negative stuff, man.
No, I mean it really, there was like some type of like culture shift, I think, online specifically,
Yeah.
where drama became what people wanted, what people watched. I mean, I kind of think back of whenever like YouTube first started, and like I always remember seeing content creators collab, and you know, a lot of the old YouTubers kind of talk about this too, about how, you know, it used to be about helping each other up,
Mm.
helping, you know, rooting for each other. And then now, like, you know, 2011, you know, you had YouTube channels specifically for YouTube drama,
Mm.
or like drama in general, when the
Yeah.
celebrities, you
Yeah.
know, like,
TV sales, bro.
you know, they try to start beef with other YouTubers, or they try to pull something out that from like years ago, or you know, whatever. And like it's just this like constant thing of like this person's beefing with this person, and who can get more views because of this, or blah
Yeah.
blah blah. And so I think just this whole like culture, right, shift that we had online, where everybody's kind of just rooting for someone to mess up so they can get
Get
canceled. And
canceled. Yeah.
I just I see it weird. It's almost like a like a um I forget how I always put it, but like this mentality of like, we're gonna grab our pitchforks and go in a
Mm.
crowd, and we're gonna all just go and storm these people.
Yeah.
And I
It's
see it with
seriously like
fan
that.
bases, like
Yeah.
the the internet has given a lot of people the ability to go, you know, incognito,
Mm.
basically, where they don't know who they are or
Mm.
anything. And you know, people don't know who it is, and
Mm.
they're able to just say whatever they want.
Yeah.
And so they're they just kind of, you know, go like a horde almost, and just attack people.
Yeah. And that's seriously how it is, man. It's all about the drama nowadays. And so let's get into the top 10 childhood actors that have really fallen off the map. And let's kind of go into detail about each actor because really what they've gone through is some serious stuff. Yeah, so we're gonna talk about the top 10 actors that have really just fallen off the map and really have put themselves in a position to really just have drugs and use drugs and really use alcohol as their coping situation. So
Yeah.
let's talk about Macaulay Culkin. We already know how he is, man. We know that he's such an awesome childhood actor at a very young age with Home
Yeah,
Alone,
and
Home
Home
Alone 2,
Alone, and then he
other
did
stuff as well. Yeah,
Richie Rich, I
yeah,
think,
Richie
and
Rich. Yeah,
stuff. And so everybody knows him. Everybody knows the like really infamous scene where he, puts his,
yeah.
he put the shaving thing on his face. And I mean, who doesn't know Home Alone? Who
Yeah,
hasn't watched that
one of the
movie?
most iconic, movies, but also Christmas movies of
Yeah,
all time.
I think I consider them Christmas
Yeah,
movies.
yeah, definitely a Christmas movie, but it's like you look back at it, just watching it over and over again. I'm sure everybody watches it during Christmas time every year. That's like a staple. We
Yeah,
have to watch Home Alone every Christmas time, and it's like you look at him and you just like, yo, because maybe because he's a child and he's so innocent, but it's just like seeing him from then to now and what he's going through in that process. It's sad, bro. It's
yeah, it's
scary.
crazy.
It's scary how he's has used his fame, and we loved him as a kid, and we loved the way he acted, and we loved the things that he did in the movies. And all of a sudden, man, you just hear what really he's been going through, and it's hard to believe because it's just you see somebody that just looks so innocent and seems so innocent, but really that fame, bro, just took over, and the drugs was really like his thing, man. He needed drugs to live his life, and you can just see by the pictures that were online. It's like, yo, his face is all skinny and chiseled, and it's just like he has some issues, man, some serious issues,
Yeah,
bro.
he, I can imagine, that the whole childhood star thing, must have been really difficult because he did a lot of movies, and I think he had like retired
Yeah,
from
yeah, yeah. He
acting
retired.
at like 1994 or something like that.
Yeah,
Which, if you think about it, that's a long time
yeah,
ago.
a long time ago.
Um, but turns out that his dad was mismanaging his money and stuff like
Oh
that,
wow,
and then
yeah,
there was like a custody battle that happened, and I'm sure that really took a toll on him. But fast forward a couple more years, and in 2004 he got arrested with over an ounce of weed, and he had a lot of prescription drugs on him that he had no prescription for. So,
yeah.
of course, using, I'm sure he was using like Oxycontin,
Mm.
hydrocodone,
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, which,
The bad stuff.
it's all that stuff. It's addicting.
Yeah,
And, he received a sentence and stuff like that. But, um, you know, you just kind of look at some of the pictures that had surfaced of him,
yeah, bro.
and he looked rough.
He looked rough.
He looked like he had gone through it.
Yeah,
And fortunately, this doesn't always happen, but he, has since cleaned himself up more. And, I've seen a couple pictures of him recently. He looks a lot healthier. It looks like he's back on track to, living a more healthy life.
did you see the Google ad that came out around Christmas time?
Yeah, I did see that.
They did like a Home Alone
Home Alone
remake.
ad with
Yeah, with
him in
the
it.
I think the Google, what is the
Google Home
yeah,
or
the Google
whatever.
Home
Yeah,
thing.
the little pod thing.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. So he looked good in that,
Yeah, he,
man.
he looked like, he was, healthy, and he
Yeah,
looked like like there was just some type of like joy in
yeah.
in his
And that
being.
was cool to see, just him kind of going over each famous scene that was in Home Alone,
Yeah.
and just seeing that, okay, you know what, he looks okay. He looks better than he has before.
Yeah.
And so that was good to see because we all know how he was before, because he really did fall off the map, man, and that was really sad to see.
Yeah. And so, glad he's back on track. But let's move on to the next one.
Yeah,
Number 9, Lindsay Lohan.
yeah. See that? Yeah, yeah, Lindsay, bro.
That one's a sad.
Yeah, Lindsay, man. And I didn't really watch a lot of her movies. What was that one movie that she did that it was basically like a twin, but really
Oh,
it
the
was
Parent
her.
Trap.
Parent Trap. I remember watching that a couple times. Not by myself, but I watched it with some friends.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
But I remember seeing that, and again, bro, just the innocent look, bro. Just the fact that she went from, that movie really being a very famous movie,
Yeah.
and back then, and
Yeah.
now it's just where has she gone? I mean, I've seen I've seen plenty of videos, plenty of memes about her. It's not even funny, but I've seen plenty of stuff about her. And drugs, bro, just overcame
Yeah,
her life, man.
drugs and like sounds just some of the research that we did is that we found out that she kind of started her career at 3 years old. Started doing modeling at 3 years old, and
So
so
young, bro.
when she was at 11, that's when she did The Parent Trap, and then which was in the late 90s, and then in 2003 she did Freaky Friday. 2004 she did Mean Girls, which Mean Girls is like a like on the internet. Mean
Yeah,
Girls is one of those
yeah,
movies
yeah,
that
yeah,
like
yeah.
everybody knows, everybody quotes. It was a funny movie,
It was, yeah.
and so excuse me, and she transitioned pretty well from being a childhood actor to a teen actress, and so everybody was kind of rooting for her, and it looked like she was on the right path.
Mm.
um but she started kind of going through this downhill spiral of like just drugs and DUIs, and she was arrested for cocaine possession. She had a DUI and driving without a license.
Sleeper.
And this kind of all just started going down since like
Yeah.
2016. And she got on probation for all this stuff that she was doing and
Mm.
stuff like that. She entered rehab, and then
She going through it, bro. She going
in
through it for sure.
2010 she missed a DUI hearing and she was sentenced to 90 days in jail. um, and then in 2011 she was charged with theft,
Wow.
and she just kind of just kept
Kept doing stuff.
kept going in
It's a
this
cycle.
downward spiral. And
Yeah.
since then I don't think she's really recovered from all of
I,
this, because she was in and out of jail, she's in and out of rehab, in and out of just so many situations, so many tabloids. She was in the paparazzi eye all the time.
mm.
I mean, we saw the memes that happened and all that, and so um just literally.
She literally, yeah, bro. She literally put herself in a position to never recover because she didn't want to. But also, too, we have to remember the people that she was around didn't want to help her as well.
Yeah, like when you surround yourself with a bunch of yes men
Mm,
that don't really keep you accountable for what you're doing,
mm.
you're gonna run into some stuff.
You're gonna run into some big stuff, bro. And I think that's exactly where she's in, to where if she wants something and it's something that's not good for her or is really bad for her, they're like, okay, yeah, I got you, I got you.
Yeah,
You got the money, cool, I got you. And it's the point where she has to put herself in position to not be around those people and really get with someone that's gonna tell her the truth instead of just using her for her fame and also her money as well, because it's just not healthy.
yeah, and recently she came out, defending Harvey Weinstein, which I don't know who in their right mind would, you know,
Do that.
yeah, would fight for him
Yeah.
whenever he's this disgusting old man,
Yeah.
who's taken advantage of his position of power and has hurt a lot of women.
Mm.
And so I that just in and alone, a lot of people don't want to work with her, don't want to have her in their movies or shows or anything,
Yeah.
and I don't blame them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I don't blame her. I don't blame it either, man. It's again, bro. It has to get to the point, man, where you just have to find someone that's really gonna be on your side for the right reasons and not for the wrong reasons. Because it really gets to the point where the more that you continue to put yourself with people that don't love you and don't want to see the better for you, it's gonna really hurt them,
yeah,
big time. And especially with all the industry, with all the drugs and all the stuff that's in the industry nowadays, it's not gonna get any better unless you really surround yourself. So I'm praying for Lindsay, bro, big time, big
yeah,
time.
and hopefully she is able to kind of come out of this and
Absolutely.
clean herself up. Which I don't know. I haven't really paid attention much to her
Me either.
story
I
in
haven't
the
I haven't seen nothing about
recent
it.
years. So
Yeah,
maybe she's out of this loophole. So
hopefully, man.
we're off to number 8.
Hmm.
And we got Britney Spears.
Britney Spears, bro, such a talented artist. I mean, she was so really, bro. She was just such an awesome, performer. I remember seeing her. I went to the Bahamas a long time ago, and I think Brittany was there and Justin Bieber was there. And I remember I saw Brittany, in person, and she did not look good, bro. Like I'm not even talking about like just looks. Like she just, you can tell that there were some issues going on with her. And I was young at the time, and I didn't, I just kind of just saw off of a glance. I'm like, oh wow, that's Britney Spears. But she had a bunch of bodyguards with her, and which I understand, but she just did not look healthy. And I even noticed that at a young age when really I'm still developing to the point where I'm still trying to figure out certain things about people or
Yeah.
whoever. But when I saw her and I knew that something was wrong, I really knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
Seriously. And that's when I got to the point where I'm like, yo, she looked like she needs some help as well.
Yeah, and just kind of looking through her, career. She started really young. Um, at 11, she was in the new Mickey Mouse
Mm.
club. Doing that kind of stuff, and then of course, everybody knows in the I believe it was the late 90s
Mm.
and the early 2000s, she was a pop icon.
Bro.
Like you could not get away from hearing Britney Spears on the radio, seeing her, on the billboards or anything because, it was Britney Spears.
Yeah.
Everybody was on the Britney train.
Yeah.
And, of course, that kept going. And um, after she, had given birth to her kids and stuff, and like everybody knows the story, she kind of went off the deep end. She shaved her head
Hit
in
her head.
public and like just kind of went a little bit off the wire, and just she was kind of in a bad place mentally, and everybody saw it.
I was
Like
so confused too.
literally, yeah, like literally, she was on the media everywhere where people were just slamming her.
Yeah.
They were just like talking about how she's crazy, how she's a bad mom, blah blah blah. But again, with a really good story, um, with Brittany, now she's cleaned up a lot. What I've known
Mm.
is that I think she was a X Factor judge
Oh,
for a little bit, and then I think she has like a Vegas,
residency.
yeah, residency. I
Wow.
think. But as far as I know, I think I remember seeing some article on Twitter or something that she was doing a lot better.
Yeah.
She seems to be a really good mom
A great.
now, and so
Yeah. She's working on
it just
herself.
yeah, it took working on yourself and kind of getting out of that spotlight for a little bit to
To
really
really find yourself.
kind of refocus on things.
Yeah.
So crazy,
It is. It
so
is.
crazy.
And the thing is that you just hate to see their talents get wasted away because of you know their demons that are taking over. And really, it's one of those things where again you just kind of hope and pray that they still continue to find uh, their way through it all because I'm sure it's tough, man. I'm sure it's tough when they have to hear about their issues being put on the spotlight 24/7 because really it's just not fair for them to be reminded of what's going on. And I think that keeps them in a place where they're gonna be like, you know what, maybe I am a person of, drugs and alcohol, and so I really think that as long as they recover and continue to recover, because it's really a lifelong process, and just really that you just hope and pray that they kind of fight through it. So
Yeah, and like we're on number 7 here now, and
yeah, the great Gary Coleman.
Gary Coleman, man,
Yeah,
it
rest in peace.
it's crazy.
Mm.
It's so crazy. Just the doesn't matter like where you came from or anything. Like everybody that's on this list, like
Yeah,
they all got famous as a kid.
very young, very young.
Yeah, and you know, it's crazy how much that affected them in their adult life.
Yeah,
How it really, kind of sucked the childhood that they didn't get to experience away.
Mm-mm. No, there's no way because when you're busy with recording shows and interviews and really having to deal with you know stuff that has to keep them focused on so they gotta do. It's really they have no life, outside of doing what they're called to do.
Yeah.
And really, it just puts them in a position to where they have no choice but to live a life of just being stuck, doing, doing what they got to do. And so it sucks, man. Gary Coleman, bro. I remember, what is that show called, man? I don't remember.
I think it's called Different Strokes.
Different Strokes. Okay, that's a show that like my parents grew up watching. So
Yeah.
that's really back then. But even me watching that when I was younger and still now, it's like Gary Coleman was so funny, bro. Like he was hilarious. And I remember watching him on a couple movies, and of course we know about his height issue and his issues that was going on with his body, but he remains just so hilarious and so funny. And it's just like you see him. How can I word it? You see him in a way where even though he has some issues with, I'm sure he had people calling him out for his height or his body shape, but he remained funny, bro. He remained hilarious.
Yeah.
And he remained a character of where he didn't let anything really bother him. But really, I think he still had his own personal issues that not many people knew about.
Yeah. I think, some of the things that we found out about him is that his parents were his managers, was his manager. And so what happened to him is that he found out that his parents had used the majority of his trust fund, which was about 18 million. Like, how do you go through so much money? And only about 220,000 remained out of 18 million.
Wow,
that is crazy.
Their own family and parents did
like
that,
your
bro.
own, like that must really weigh on you as a person. And
Absolutely.
so
Broke, bro. Literally, he's broke.
yeah, he's broke.
Yeah.
And $220,000.
Yeah, but
isn't broke.
I'm sure he had a lot of expenses that were
yeah,
more
I'm
than
sure that there's a bunch of things with his health and all that stuff that kind of played a huge role in all this. But he ended up filing a lawsuit against his parents. Like, dang, imagine having to take your own parents to court. And he won for 3.8 million, which is crazy.
Wow.
And just apparently, one thing about him is that he had a bad temper. And he was arrested in the late 90s for punching a woman who asked for his autograph.
And that's the thing, you would have never known that he had those issues seeing him on screen.
Yeah.
Seeing him on a TV screen because he was playing a character.
Yeah.
That wasn't him. And we have to understand that just because an actor is funny on TV or on a movie screen or on a show doesn't mean that they're that person.
Exactly.
We have to, that's seriously one of the biggest things that we have to understand is that they're playing a role of someone else. They might have their own personality, and that kind of makes the role even funnier, but they're literally playing somebody else in a different role with a different name. It's just their bodies and their frame that is being portrayed on the screen. But once the camera is off, once everything is back to living your normal life, these people have issues, bro.
Yeah, and
they have issues, man.
Of course, he went to like divorce court and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
Then in 2010, he unfortunately suffered from a seizure and passed away. So
it's sad, man.
It's sad.
It's sad, bro.
It's really sad.
And people don't realize, man, the issues that they have, man. But we don't see that because it's behind closed doors.
Exactly.
And their fame is so popular. But really, man, fame doesn't even matter to them. They're really dealing with some issues that we will never know about until the time comes for that information to come out. So with number 6, we have Shia LaBeouf. We all know, bro, Even Steven.
Yes.
Transformers.
Holes.
I mean,
we can't leave out Holes.
I can't, bro. I don't know why I even went from Even Steven to Transformer. Like, he didn't do nothing before that or in the middle of that. That's my bad. I should get fired up for that. Holes was such a great movie, bro, especially for our generation.
Oh, heck yeah.
It just related to something, not the jail part, but it related in a certain sense, just being, kind of in a similar age frame and really just kind of just seeing them, bro, just literally just doing so many things, and
It was just so
it
funny.
was a hilarious
It
movie,
was
bro.
it
I
was a
had the
funny
book and
movie,
everything,
and
man.
like
Yeah,
the zero.
yeah, yeah, bro. And it's just like, man, Shia LaBeouf, man. It's wow. I mean, he had a lot of fame, bro. For real. Starting off at a very young age, but he grew up, bro, suffering from mental and verbal abuse, man. He literally grew up from that. And when you grow up from really dealing with those issues, really it's hard for them to get over that.
Yeah,
That's shit, and that's the one of the things that when you grow up dealing with something that's so big and so just mind changing, it's gonna be with you for a long time unless you get some serious help. And he was in an unhappy home. Seriously, he was in an unhappy home, and not many things made him happy except doing these TV shows and movies that kept him in a frame of mind to where
yeah,
he felt comfortable doing that. But his troubles were still out there, man. I mean, he had issues, bro. He had an issue with the law, with resulted in charge of assault with a deadly weapon after he threatened his neighbor. Like,
I
yo,
mean,
that's not something that you just grow up doing.
I,
He had issues.
yeah, like that started when he was 19. So like,
At
you
19,
know,
bro, I was still in school.
yeah, like it's crazy.
Yeah, bro.
And he just kind of started going through these things where he was in and out of the media, but it wasn't for good things. It was
Yeah.
because he got charged with DUI and driving with the suspended license, and
Dominoes.
like just doing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And um, he was charged with unlawful smoking. He failed to appear in court. Of course, there was a warrant, stuff like that. And then, just I can't imagine going from being a Disney star where everything is happy and go lucky and all that
Man,
stuff, and then you start doing these more adult roles where
you really see how life is.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
you start becoming an adult, and never having the ability to kind of go through the regular motions that someone his age went through,
Right.
you know, from going through puberty, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it must really mess you up, especially, having to grow up with his dad who abused him.
Yeah. He was literally abused at a very young age. And we would have never saw that on even Steven or Holes or Transformer. You would never see what he really went through because he's playing a role.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and that's one of the things that we have to remain very just informed of because the issues that these child actors have really has carried them into they are what they are now. And we have to continue to kind of pray for them and really hope that they're having their help from their friends and family or whoever to kind of keep them on the path.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So with number 5, bro, Demi Lovato, man, so talented, dog.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, what an incredible singer. I mean, she can sing, bro, like no other. But we already know, like last year,
Just,
with the things that she was going through, the highs and the very lows
yeah.
of what she was going through, and she's also an actor as well.
Yeah.
So she had some good roles as well. And she started off pretty young as well. But man, I'm sure everybody knows what was going on with Demi Lovato, man. That's right, she was on Barney and Friends,
Yeah.
bro.
She started with
Selena Gomez.
Selena Gomez
I'm
on
shook.
Barney and Friends. And
Camp
so
Rock, bro. What the heck? I didn't know that she was on Camp Rock, bro.
she's the main character in Camp Rock.
Bro, I don't remember none of this stuff, man. Man, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, so crazy. She started really young
Yeah.
acting, then she did
Sweet
Disney
kiss.
stuff. And so,
Yeah.
of course, after the whole thing with being, it's like if you're in Disney, it's always seems like you have a tough like transition
Disney is all butterflies
crazy.
and strawberries, and all of a sudden
On screen. But I mean, I don't know what happens behind the scenes. I'm sure that it's crazy.
crazy, bro. It has to be. It has to be.
And
It's very evident.
for people to go through the things that they went through. So like, of course everybody knows that she went through a lot of just kind of drugs and alcohol things. And she she did things where she hurt herself. And unfortunately she was going through a lot of things that were kind of just weren't public.
Mm.
Um, and not that she needs to go do a press release on like,
Mm.
oh, like I'm an alcoholic or anything, but
Yeah, yeah,
talk to somebody,
yeah,
to get the support that you need to keep you accountable and also to keep you on the right track,
yeah,
because I can't imagine how hard it must be to be around that
yeah.
and then stay on that track.
Yeah, especially when we knew that she was doing better. She was putting out great music. And then last year, when she had that fallout, people really just kind of, it was just to the point when we knew about her addiction and when she had the issues with, I think it was cocaine. Um, People really was just bashing her for that. And really, bro, that was just a point where it was sad to see that happen. And really with her, man, I think she's gonna be fine. I think she's gonna be okay. I think with her realizing her issues and really working on it, I think she's especially with her being on the spotlight.
Yeah.
I think she's understanding and realizing that she's so talented, and so incredible at what she does, and that she's gonna always put herself in a position to um, not to not harm her body and really hurt herself because she knows how important she is. Number 5, I have Orlando Brown, bro.
Yeah.
That's a Raven.
Yeah, definitely. That's a huge one, man.
That's a huge one. I mean, Orlando Brown, bro. That's a Raven. First of all, was my show. I mean, that was the show where I would come home from school and I had to watch it. I had to sit down and listen and just spend time because it was just one of those shows that was just so important for me as a young kid because it was just so relatable. And Orlando Brown now, man, has really put himself in a very bad position with doing meth and cocaine and doing all these bad drugs that have
Yeah,
really
man. He was like,
changed his life.
yeah, like he's he was in and out of jail. He was getting arrested like all the time.
Yeah,
Not so long ago for possession of drugs,
yeah, yeah,
like not like pot or anything like that, but like crack
yeah,
and
yeah.
meth
Serious
and
stuff. Serious.
like that stuff is bad, like really bad.
Yeah, really bad.
And
You
so
can tell, bro. Oh my gosh.
like people seen the interviews, people have meme him, people they're all over the internet
Yeah.
where he's off the rails
Yeah,
talking about nonsense.
doing stupid stuff, bro.
And it's sad because he was one of my favorite like characters on like That's So Raven,
Yeah.
and like all the shows that he was involved with
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
I just never saw that coming.
Yeah, nobody did.
I don't think anybody did.
I don't think anybody did because you wondered once That's a Raven finished and there was a couple years I think he was doing a few stuff because sometimes I will always look up what are the actors from this show doing or how they're doing from whatever, and you just didn't really hear from him, and then you just see him blowing up on Instagram doing stupid stuff and acting crazy, and it's just like he got skinny and he's really skinny. You can see his face; it just doesn't look right. And you just notice that he has some problems, bro. Some serious problems.
Yeah.
And I believe he's in rehab, and I believe that he's dealing with his issues. And again, man, with anybody, man, I'm just hoping that they continue to learn from their mistakes and learn to understand that
sure.
what they're going through is it's only a season. They can get through it. But it's just sad to see from age this low to this high to where they're just crumbling, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like moving on to number 4, Amanda Bynes.
Yeah.
Like
Amanda Bynes, yeah.
she
Forgot about
started in all that, and then she had her own show, the Amanda Bynes Show. Like everybody remembers that on Nick.
Yeah.
And she transitioned out of that, and she started doing more like teen roles or whatever. Like She's the Man. I don't know if you remember that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So but she was like basically pretending to be a dude to get with this other dude. I don't know, it was weird.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be a funny movie. So but in 2012 she announced via Twitter that she was gonna retire from acting, and that's when things got crazy. Like she got DUIs, she was in a hit and run, she was in criminal possession of drugs, she went through a bunch of mental health evaluations just because it just seemed like she was going crazy, like she was losing herself, like she was just everywhere.
Mm.
And so, just a bunch of legal problems and just a bunch of weird things that were happening with her. Like she would tweet random things that just didn't make sense. And people were really worried about her. And so, coming from a child actor who started in Nickelodeon, had a pretty good career, then moved on to like, more movie type stuff, I can just see where Hollywood really just affected her.
Yeah, Hollywood, bro. Man, I mean, again, Hollywood is a blessing and a curse. Once you kind of come out on the scene and you're on that spotlight, it can be almost too bright, if we can put it like that. The spotlight for some of these actors and musicians or whoever is too bright, and really, we have to understand that. Again, it's just one of those situations to where we have to hope that outside of closed doors that they're doing okay. Seriously, it gets to that point where we hope that they're doing okay, because really, just the fame, the spotlight, the bright lights when they're performing, the bright lights when they're recording their movie or whatever. It's just it's sad, man. It really is, and it's almost like I'm kind of in a position to where I'm like, okay, I can't even do no more people, because it's too much, bro. Like literally, it's everybody, every famous childhood actor that we've watched growing up really had issues, bro. Starting from a young age,
Yeah.
going into now.
Like it,
It's
it,
sad.
it- it's just so many people. I mean, I look at like Takashi 69, man. Like the kid, like moving on to like number three. I'll choose 69 for
Yeah.
number three because, um, like I'll look at these new artists who are so hungry for fame that they will do
Whatever
whatever
it
they
takes.
need to do in order for them to reach that. So what did he do? He was up and down saying that he was part of the Bloods, blah
Mm.
blah blah. That he
Yeah,
was,
he's doing
that
this.
he's banging, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
And what happened? He now he's
Could be on child support.
he could be facing life
Yeah.
in prison because he wanted the fame, but what came with all the stuff that he was doing.
Yeah.
I think it just goes to that whole thing we talked about like way earlier in the episodes of like clout chasing.
Yeah.
Like fame doesn't always have to be, you know, this thing where it ruins your life or
Mm.
anything like that. Like I kind of look at some successful people like Oprah, who's been famous for a very long time, but she's always seemed to have always had it
Hmm.
um together.
Yeah.
So Takashi 69 number 3. Number 2, I think about Logan Paul, the Paul brothers,
Mm.
like another clout chasers.
Yeah.
Like they really messed up.
Yeah.
Like last year and the year before, like
Yeah.
they did the whole thing with the Suicide Forest video on YouTube where they
Mm.
literally filmed someone who killed themselves
Mm.
in Japan,
Wow.
and like they didn't show remorse, they didn't like really care,
Hmm.
and they were all over the news. They were, they ruined their own career basically,
Yeah.
and it was crazy how the internet was just flocking
Yeah.
towards this stuff because it was a bunch of drama.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of negativity,
Hmm.
and so
Yeah, and I guess for me, my number one, I think people would maybe agree or disagree with me on this, but I think my number one is Michael Jackson, bro.
mm, yeah,
And when I say this,
I would agree.
I in a sense, Michael didn't really ruin his career, but I think over time, this might not make any sense, but I just feel like over time he ruined his life in a sense.
Yeah,
And what I mean by that is that, of course, bro. I mean, at a young, you can't get no more younger than when Michael started doing his thing with Jackson 5 and
yeah,
him doing his solo career, and really Joe Jackson really making sure that his brothers, including Michael, were prepared for each show, and really prepared to perform overall. And of course, they were very tough on them. And I think Michael, at a young age, realized that pressure from his dad, And of course, Michael didn't, he didn't really love his dad as much because of that. But I think over time, just through the changes that Michael was going through, and he was always putting out good music. He was always putting out great. He put out hits through all of this.
Yeah.
But I truly do, deeply inside, think that he was dealing with multiple demons in his life.
I you know, his childhood was taken away. Like he had
Yeah,
no,
no child, ain't no
and,
such
and
thing as
that's why,
childhood. Yeah,
in his adult life, everything was surrounded about, you know, like the whole Neverland thing, like him having a place called Neverland. Like it's like he didn't.
yeah, he wanted that
Yeah,
at
he
first.
wanted
Yeah,
the childhood experience.
yeah, at an age to where we're like, I don't want to do that no more. I'm 20 years old. I'm 25 years old.
Yeah, like
But Michael was like, nah, fam, I want this for a long time because he never experienced that. And Michael, in a sense, was still a kid at an adult phase.
yeah,
Of course, he put out adult music, but outside of closed doors, um, I believe that he was still wanting to live a life of a child. And I think that really put him in a position to where he really just didn't recover from that.
yeah.
He didn't recover from that at all. And he wasn't doing like the heavy drugs like the meth and stuff, but he was doing a lot of pills.
A lot of
He couldn't
and
sleep.
those are
Those are heavy too.
those are they'll lead you. It led to his death
Yeah,
at
it
the end
did.
of the day.
At age 50, still young, bro.
Yeah, and but like we know what's going on right now with the whole Michael Jackson thing. We
Yeah,
we know about the documentary, and by the time you see this, it would just been a couple days
yeah.
after documentary has been out. But um, we both didn't watch it.
I haven't watched it yet. Yeah, I'm not ready.
But I think what a lot of people are saying is that Michael Jackson, why are people talking about him in this way and blah blah blah, and I can see why these things that people are saying can be true,
Yeah,
just because of the demons that he had in his closet that no one really knew about.
yeah. He needed help for sure.
Yeah,
He needed help. But Michael was like a god to many people.
exactly.
In the days where he was really at a peak in his career, that he was really unstoppable. And I think that again, he had a lot of yes men that was around him that really what they say, Michael, do whatever you want to do. You're famous. You're popular. You will never have any problems with the law or whatever. And it got to the point where he was like a god to people, and he was like a god to the government. He was like a god to the judges. And when they had the trial for the case and he got away with it, and I didn't. And before I even say this, I want to make sure because I don't know a lot about what's going on with the case and what happened. But I think that his fame was the reason why he got off. And I think that's the reason why that people just believed him. And I'm a big fan. I love Michael, and that's why I'm not ready to see the documentary yet. Cause I just hope that it doesn't. It's gonna probably change my mind, my narrative about him. But really, man, he just needed help. He was lonely, and he needed help. And it's crazy because he's like, how is he lonely? But apparently he was, man.
Yeah,
Apparently he was, and so it's scary, bro.
yeah. The effects of fame, it doesn't discriminate how old you are.
Yeah,
The addiction doesn't discriminate who you are. And so, I just hope that a lot of these people can get some help. And if they're still here, I just, I hope that this podcast wasn't too depressing for people,
right.
because I totally can understand if it was, but
Yeah, it was. It's a very.
it was a
dark episode.
it was just something that's been on our minds
Yeah.
and been on our hearts, so we just wanted to put it out there and just kind of talk about it, and
Yeah.
kind of just shed some light on this.
Yeah, but really, man, I think our main goal was to shed some light on just the reality of issues. We can put fame. Let's put fame in the child actors to the side. I think many people are still dealing with major issues with
Yeah.
drugs, alcohol, any addiction that they have.
Yeah, mental health
Mental health, man.
is so important,
Yeah.
and I feel like we need to be more aware of it in our
Yeah,
society,
this is
and
reality,
me
bro.
more aware of it, that just because you see something on TV, or you see someone on their Instagram, or you see someone
It's
on
not
their
who they are.
Twitter,
Trust me.
you're only seeing what people are allowing them you to see, and you don't really know what's going on. So reach out to your friends, man.
Family, yeah.
Reach out to your family. It's really important that you um, are able to talk about this stuff without it being stigmatized, or without you having to feel like you can't talk about it because people are going to judge you.
Mm.
um, and no matter what you're going through, man, if you guys need someone, reach out to us.
Yeah, reach out to us for sure.
Send us a message.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're here to help.
We're here for you guys. We're not professionals.
Nah.
We're definitely not therapists or nothing
Mm,
like that. But
mm.
we're always encouragers. We're always about encouraging people. And I want to end this in an encouraging way, and
Mhm.
let people know that no matter what you're going through, people are there for you.
Absolutely.
No matter who you are, you're not going to go through this alone.
Absolutely, I agree. And like I said, we're here to help. We're not perfect. We have our own issues, but we're here to help, and we want to make sure that with people that are dealing with their issues, that they can speak up and speak out about it. Because the more that you hold it in, the more that you don't speak out about it, the more it's just going to continue to just kind of build up, and it's not going to be good in the long run. And so, really, man, we're just we're all a family, man. We're all supporters, and we love you guys, and we thank you for your continuous support on this channel. We're still growing. We're still doing our thing every week, and we'll see you guys back again with episode number
9.
9.
All right, we'll
Yeah.
catch you guys next week.
All right, guys. Peace.
Peace.